The Path to Focus, a lesson from Buddha. 1. Introduction. A young boy, Rahul, struggles with focus in his studies. His teacher advises him to visit a Buddhist monk. 2. The journey to the monastery. Rahul travels to meet a wise monk named Ananda. Ananda agrees to teach him the secret of focus through Buddha's teachings. 3. Buddha's story on focus. Young Siddhartha also faced distractions. He learned focus through meditation and observing nature. 4. The 3 lessons of focus. Lesson 1. The still cup of water, patience and stillness of the mind. Lesson 2. The archer's aim, single-minded concentration. Lesson 3. The candle in the wind, controlling wandering thoughts. 5. Rahul's transformation. He applies the lessons and improves his studies. He realizes focus is a skill that requires practice. 6th conclusion. Rahul thanks Ananda and returns home. He becomes a disciplined and focused student. Chapter 1. The struggling student. Rahul sat at his desk, staring at his open book. The words blurred before his eyes, and his mind drifted to the sound of birds chirping outside. His schoolwork remained unfinished, as his thoughts jumped from one thing to another. His teacher, noticing his struggle, placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Rahul, your mind is restless. You must learn to control it if you wish to succeed. Rahul sighed. I try, teacher, but no matter how hard I concentrate, my mind keeps wandering. The teacher smiled knowingly. There is an old monk named Ananda who lives in the monastery on the hill. He understands the secrets of focus. Go to him, and he will help you. Determined to find a solution, Rahul set off on his journey the next morning. Chapter 2. The journey to the monastery. The path to the monastery was long and winding. As Rahul walked, his thoughts continued to wander. He thought about the games his friends were playing back home, about food, about stories he had heard. Finally, he arrived at the monastery, where an elderly monk in saffron robes greeted him. The monk had a calm presence, his eyes filled with wisdom. Welcome, young one. I am Ananda. What brings you here? Rahul bowed respectfully. Master Ananda, I struggle with focus. My mind is restless. Please teach me how to concentrate. The monk nodded. Focus is like a lamp in the darkness. It takes practice. But first, let me tell you a story about the Buddha. Chapter 3. Buddha's journey to focus. Before he became the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama was a prince, Ananda began. He had wealth, comfort, and luxury. Yet his mind was restless, just like yours. One day, while watching a musician tune his instrument, Siddhartha had a realization. If the strings were too loose, they made no sound. If they were too tight, they snapped. The mind, too, must be balanced, not too relaxed, not too tense. From that moment, Siddhartha trained himself in focus. He observed nature, the stillness of a lake, the patience of a tree. He meditated, learning to control his thoughts. Finally, after years of practice, he attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. His mind became as steady as a mountain, unmoved by distractions. Rahul listened intently. But how can I train my mind like Buddha did? He asked. Ananda smiled. I will teach you 3 lessons. Each will help you strengthen your focus. Chapter 4. Lesson 1. The still cup of water. Ananda led Rahul to a small pond. He handed him a cup filled with water and said, Hold this cup still and watch the water. Rahul held the cup, but his hands shook slightly, making ripples in the water. Now place the cup on the ground and wait, Ananda instructed. Rahul set the cup down, and after a while the water became still and clear. You see, Rahul, Ananda explained, your mind is like this water. When you force it to be still, it wavers. But if you let it settle naturally, it becomes clear. Before you study, take a few deep breaths and allow your mind to settle. Do not force concentration. Let it come naturally. Rahul nodded, understanding the first lesson. Chapter 5. Lesson 2. The archer's aim. The next day, Ananda took Rahul to a clearing where a young archer was practicing. The archer drew his bow, eyes locked onto the target. With perfect precision, he released the arrow, hitting the center of the target. Did you see how focused he was? Ananda asked. Yes, Rahul replied. He didn't look anywhere else. Exactly, Ananda said. The archer's mind was on one thing, his target. When you study, be like the archer. Do not let your mind wander. Focus on one task at a time. Rahul promised to apply this to his studies. Chapter 6. Lesson 3. The Candle in the Wind. That evening, Ananda placed a candle before Rahul and lit it. The flame flickered as a gentle breeze blew through the room. This flame is like your focus, Ananda said. When the wind of distraction comes, it wavers. He then cupped his hands around the flame, protecting it from the wind. It burned steadily. To focus, you must guard your mind against distractions, Ananda continued. Turn off noises, find a quiet place, and set a clear intention before studying. Rahul realized how easily he had let distractions take over. He promised to apply this wisdom. Chapter 7. Rahul's Transformation. Over the next few weeks, Rahul practiced the lessons diligently. Before studying, he took deep breaths to calm his mind. He focused on one subject at a time, like an archer aiming at a target. He removed distractions and created a quiet study space. Slowly, he noticed a change. His mind became sharper. He could study longer without getting distracted. His teacher noticed his improvement and praised him. One day, Rahul returned to the monastery and bowed before Ananda. Master, your lessons have changed me. I can now focus with ease. Thank you. Ananda smiled. You have learned well, Rahul. Focus is a skill that must be practiced every day. Share this knowledge with others. Rahul left the monastery with a new sense of purpose. He continued his studies with discipline and later became a great scholar, teaching others the secrets of focus he had learned from the wise monk. Conclusion. The lessons of Buddha and Ananda helped Rahul transform his restless mind into one of clarity and focus. Just like Rahul, anyone can develop concentration with patience, discipline, and practice. The key to focus is not forcing the mind but training it. Like still water, a steady flame, and an archer's aim.